So let's just review Tosfos' three positions in Niktam, right? On Chav Tesam Vez. So the first position is he wants to understand what's Niktam Rosho, and it can't mean the Tiomis, the two middle leaves, because if it meant that, then you have a problem with the other case, right? Because it's brought down somewhere else, and you wouldn't need this case. So he says he offers three answers. So the first answer was Rosho. It's really the definition of what Rosho is. So Rosho doesn't mean the two middle ones; it means the rove of the top leaves, right? The second answer was differentiating between this being a problem in the chefsa versus a problem in hidur, and then we left off with the third answer, which we need to define. So what was the third answer? So the third answer was you would think that in terms of the two middle leaves, which are the tiomis, okay, you would think that nitla and niktam are the same. So therefore, by nitla, if I go ahead and pluck one off completely, right, so too by niktam, if I just cut one of them off. Okay, it's still maintaining the chefsa versus hidur differentiation, to make that clear. In other words, nitla's din in the chefsa, niktam's din in hidur. But when it comes to the tiomes, if it's one leaf that's plucked versus one leaf that's cut, it'd be the same halacha. Kamash Malan.
That's the original definition of niktam.
Right, Kamash Malan, that it's only a problem of nitla. Nitla's a problem if it's one of the two. By niktam, it only is a problem if both of the leaves of tiomis are cut. So what's the havin and what's the maskana? Simple question. Strange, very strange, how you differentiate this. But you got to be careful. In other words, well, because we already made the differentiation of chefsa versus hidur. That's been done already. So now we're that differentiation is already done. Now we're looking at something. We're looking in that categorization something more specific. So what would you say? What's the issue here? Do we understand? Let me put the question in a more intelligent way. In other words, for whatever reason, why, for some reason, when it comes to this case here of the tiomes, of the two middle, the topmost, middlemost leaves, for some reason, the standard that applies by nitla is not the same standard that applies by niktam. So the question you have to answer is, why not? So what do you say?
Could it be because...
The one point I 100% agree with is that if one leaf was completely removed, right, you would not say that's a problem of hidur. Okay? You wouldn't say that. You know, it's a problem in the chefza, it's no longer a lulav, but you would never say that the beauty of the lulav is changed if one leaf has been taken off. Right? Certainly the middle leaf, but I'm saying you wouldn't say that. I agree. Okay, now you got to remember what Tosfos is moving on from chefza hidur, right? Avi's trying to still hang on to aspects of it, which I'm not disputing, but let's just put it in one context. Right, Avi did make a good point, and I don't want anyone who's listening to this to think that Avi didn't know what he was talking about. Okay, that was not vicious. What you said was a good point. But let's focus on the issue. In other words, just understand Tosfos' methodology. Okay, we differentiate between chefsa and hidur. Okay, that we've done. Now, Tosfos is saying, what is Tosfos focusing on in the third position? What part of the lulav?
It's top.
No. What specific part?
Top. It's top.
What specific
Tiomis.
part? The tiomis. Okay, which is these two here. Okay, now those two happen to be what? The tallest and the most central part of the lulav. Okay. And as Avi first said, he's 100% right. Nitla, if you now, okay, let's look at the entity of a tiomis, and let's look at the havmin and maskan. You look at the tiomis, because remember the tiomis is viewed as a what in the Gemara? It's viewed as an entity. The tiomis, these two separate leaves are viewed as some type of conceptual entity. Okay. So what would you now? If you say that's not the case, then what you'd have to argue, if it's not a conceptual entity, then you have to argue the moment I peel it off, right? And if I cut one, they both be the same problem. You understand? But it's not the same problem. They're saying that this tiomis is really a conceptual entity. All right. If it's a conceptual entity, if there's just an entity called tiomis, now take the idea of chefs and hidur as separate phenomena and then plug each one into the entity of tiomis. And you can see two different results emerging. Okay? In other words, take number 2, the differentiation of chefsa and hidur, and now apply it to this entity called tiomis. And I'll show you there's two logical ways, one from the perspective of chefsa, and one from the perspective of hidur, you can look at the tiomis. Yes? But you were getting it. In other words, so if you look at tiomis as a conceptual entity, as a unit, let's call tiomis a unit, okay? So if I remove one of the two completely, do I have that unit anymore?
Yeah.
No, and therefore that's a psul nechatza. But Hiddur won't look at it that way, because if I only cut off one of the two, okay, insofar as Hiddur is concerned, why would you still say Avitiyomas? Which you were hinting at. Why would you still say that? In terms of Hiddur.
So the form is Yoms?
Well, why?
It still has the appearance.
Yeah, no, you're right, because you still have, if you have this.
Yeah, not roll of the Tiomas is gone.
Right, exactly. You still have, right, but you're 100, exactly. In other words, you have a tall leaf, right? So you still have the tallness present, right? It's true it's only one of the two, but the point is the effect of Tiomas, that appearance is still intact.
Right.
But if I cut off both, right, I've now, Mipi Hiddur, I've now destroyed the Hiddurness of the Tiomas. You understand? So the brilliance of Tosfos, if you appreciate it, is that first he shows you in the overall concept of differentiation of Chavsa and Hiddur, and then he tries to show you, if you want to apply it, I can show you in the case of Tiomas how the differentiation emerges. Okay? If you apply Chavsa to Tiomas, it's one idea, right? If you apply Hiddur to Tiomas, it's another idea. You understand? So even that's what Tosfos is saying. That's the Chiddush. The Chiddush is that if I only cut off one of the two by Niktam, right? If I only cut off the top one of the two, it's still considered good. Why? Because I haven't changed the Hiddur. The Hiddur's still there. Because I haven't altered the Mipi Hiddur, I haven't altered the entity of the Tiomas. You understand? So that's Tosfos' last point. Yeah.
It's very similar to.
So now, just getting back to the essential point to take away from Tosfos, Niktam is a din in Hiddur. Okay? So when you cut off the top of the leaves, it's always a problem with Hiddur. Now, let's do the next case. Okay? Back to the mission again. Nifritzu olav. I'll be reading.
Who, me?
Yeah, you.
Nifritzu love puzzle. If it split on it, then it's puzzle.
We don't know what Nifritzu is. Okay? Rashi.
Nifritzu,
Olav.
love, Mishidra,
Mishidra.
from the spine.
Right.
Barn, none of the leaves are attached to the spine, unless only through the attachment of the tying around.
Correct.
Well, Gichopia, it's similar to a broom. Shikar and Ashkuba. Lav Hiddur, and this is not Hiddur.
Right. So now you have a big problem because this becomes very problematic. So Rashi wants to say what's Nifritzu olav? Okay, Nifritzu olav is where leaves have actually physically been removed from the lulav. You peeled off leaves from the lulav, like a lot of them, and then what do? You tie them to the spine. Okay, so if you didn't have the tie, right, would the leaves stay onto the lulav? No, they would not be, right. So what's keeping them connected? The aguda, the tie. So you're introducing an external feature to ensure that the lulav exists. So according to Rashi, that's pasul. Okay, that's Rashi's position. Let's do the riff first before we do Tosfos. Okay, so let's just get the riff out of the way. So what does the riff hold? The riff's where? The riff is on Membez. Very good. And the Dapeh riff. So the riff says what? He says, yeah, go.
Says Pirish Nifritzu love Kagon Nasrum in the Sidra.
Shidra.
They remain on the spine. They're hanging. Vizel David Kichopia. This is how they did the brooms. Shahutzin Kishin Chatchen. When you cut them from the spine.
So I'm not going to get into, the one thing I avoided when I did this is I'm not interested in how they're all going to learn out Chofia / Hotzi or Hutzi. Right? I don't care about that. I just care about, I want to just extract out of this the three conceptual positions. But what's the riff holding? The riff holds what?
The riff holds, it's attached, but it's mostly detached.
Right, okay, so hold on. Let's get this let's get this up on the board.
Hanging by a thread.
What?
They're hanging by a thread.
Right. Okay, we have to appreciate the difference, okay? Okay, so Rashi's what? Rashi's saying that you have, let's say this is my middle of the lulav, right? So you have a leaf here, okay? A leaf here, and you have something that's holding them together. Okay, that's Rashi, right? The riff holds, right? And you gotta be careful because the riff's not holding its Nifritzu. I know you don't know what Nifritzu is yet, but Nifritzu is where it looks like a fan. Okay, Nifritzu is where it's spread out like this. He's not saying that. He's not saying that. That's Nifritzu. What he's saying is that you have the Shidra, okay? And let's be clear, okay? Physically speaking, Okay, if you pick up the lulav, what's going to happen if I pick up the lulav according to the Rif? All right. Rif has no idea of a Gouda. This is how the Rif looks at the.
It's gonna open up like a regular
Right.
tree.
Okay, and they're connected here.
The book had it portrayed more as the leaves are now.
They're going to sag. Okay, so I'm trying to stop the clock. Okay, I'm trying to say is that like I pick it up, or as I'm picking it up, stop. So what do I see? I see the shidra, and then you would see like them connected at this end point here, and then what's going to happen? Obviously,
It'll fall.
right? But it's not nifridu.
Right.
Okay, I can't stress that enough. It's not nifridu. Nifridu is okay. We'll
They're
get to nifridu later.
bent.
What?
They're attached but bent.
Right, nifridu is they're attached here, normal attachment, just bent out. That's not this problem. Okay, that's not this problem. Okay, so the Rif holds that. So the Rif rejects Rashi, right? He's saying it can't be that they're completely detached. They have to be somewhat detached. Okay, and then we're gonna have Tosos. Okay. Oh, and what does Rashi write? Rashi says, and this is gonna be difficult. Lav hadar. Okay, we have to understand what he means by that. Okay. Okay. Taisvus. Nifritzu olav.
Nifritzu olav, we're all in by most of the leaves are There's bunches for different shidra, that they're separated from the sidra, from the spine. Shalom Aiden Milbar, and they're not attached to Gouda, only by a twine connection. Mashma.
Masha what? Shirotza lomar.
It was completely separate.
Mina shidra. Right? So Tosa is saying that, I don't know how else you would read Rashi. Tosa is saying that what must Rashi be holding? Rashi's holding that the leaves are separated completely from the spine. Okay? From the middle part. Okay?
It's very mashma.
Right, I know, right?
V'lo mashma came with Gemara. It doesn't seem to be that way in the garden. We didn't, because we said Nifritzu, the Avid ki chubra, but all in shnit lashu, the leaves that are separated from the surface vine, hutzi merkit, they're called hutzi, they're not called lulav, because they're meaning in the Gemara. Amar Abba, lo ligid inish lulveu boshana, the mishtari hutzi. A person shouldn't make a group of his lulav if it has in it the hutzi. Not a chatzisa, because that would create a problem. Chatzisa klomer, im arachut is long, yosim midayim in our rabba, from the rabba. Ubala cuts his petach, he wants to cut it at the bottom. Lo yitzak bo de beludi, don't cut it when it's still in the group. The mishnari ale lulav, kishin is talash, because what will happen is it leaves the lulav when they get the attachment will remain in the gudam, and it's from the spine, alidei chatzisa by cutting it. Umina hutzin, osin chupya, and from these hutzin you make a chupya. Medium ba goes okama.
So what's his main point? I mean, you do know what his main point is. I mean, what's he just trying to show Rashi? He's trying to show Rashi that Rashi makes one fatal error. Okay, Rashi says if Rashi would have just said Nifritzu olav mishidrav einu mechubarim el alidei aguda and stopped, it might not have been such a big kasha. But by calling it a chufya, right?
So the Gemara called it a chufya.
Yeah, but the Gemara said, but what's the case by the chufya there? There's clearly by the case of the Hoshana, right? Which is the hutzi, which they use the hutzi to make the chufya. What must that mean? Separated completely. So if that's what it means, separated completely, then what do you need this? It can't mean that here.
I mean, that's how they actually made a chufya, but this is just chufya.
Exactly. Right. Okay. Okay. So, right. Let's keep going. That's why I'm saying how Rashi squeezes out of that problem. I'm not going to really focus on that. What I care more about is what's the conceptual difference between this. No, you already have a Gemara that says that hutzi and chufya already, right? And hutzi means that it's separated out, and we know that's a problem.
It's not a problem with Nifritzu. There's a different problem with hutzi.
Exactly. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. So Rashi's error, so to speak. Again, I'm not criticizing Rashi. I'm saying Tosos's criticism of Rashi. He's not. That's why I kept telling you got to be careful on Tosos. Tosos. What's the nature of Tosos's question against Rashi?
Redundant.
What? Right. So But is he attacking Rashi's concept? No. He's just saying it can't be what you think it is. Right. So he's going to introduce something else. Right. But the way, you'll see what I mean why I'm going this direction. The way you line up the machlokas is not normal. It's not the normal way you line up the machlokas between Tosos and Rashi. Okay? You'll see. Keep going. Let's get to what his actual position is.
Then you turn hotzi into a broom.
Right. Okay.
So
what is it? Now let's get it slowly. So what is it? What is the case here?
Each leaf was split into two, and is attached or is not attached?
It's definitely attached. Okay, we'll answer that in a second. You just hit on a good point. Yeah, hold on, just finish him.
They're double over you separate them because that's how you really make a
Make a chupia. Okay, so 1 second. So what's Tosos saying? So listen, pay attention to this. This is important. Okay, Tosos is saying like this. Okay, Tosos is saying that what is the case of Nifritzu? So if you look, I don't know if you ever noticed this before, but if you ever look at your now, I always take off like a leaf on the end of my lulav to use as my egget. If you ever look at a leaf of a lulav, how is it designed?
Wait, is that not a problem?
No.
Why is that not a problem with Nifritzu?
It's only. What do you mean? Why would it be a problem with Nifritzu? Rove. It has to be rove. If that one leaf, then you have a big problem. What does it look like?
It's just it opens up in half.
Right. Okay. Meaning
Not half,
what?
but like
Right. In other
split in half.
words, every leaf, right,
It's 2 pieces.
Let's see you draw this.
is really like that. Okay. Obviously it doesn't really look that way because it's really like this. But if you think about it, what's really going on in there is that it's really right. Okay. So Tosos says what's the case?
You split it.
You split each one.
So
Okay.
To what point?
Oh, but okay. 1 second. The leaves are still. You make it. Okay. So now I'll show you. So according to Tosfos, okay, this is my shidra. Okay, and then all the leaves are still attached, but the leaves themselves are split
How are they split but attached?
because all you're doing. Think about it. Let's take the leaves closest to the spine.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you split it, okay, one part of it's still going to be attached.
So you don't split all the way through?
No.
Okay.
Okay. But why am I drawing it this way? These two on top and this on the bottom. Or let me. What I mean, before you start defining it, think of how you're going to have to categorize this. Yeah. What do you say?
There's difference.
The things. But how do you? But categorize it.
There's is the relationship.
Well, yeah.
Between Tosos and Rashi, by Rashi, it's not even connected to the actual.
Not at all.
spine. Here,
Right.
it's still connected. Everything's still connected.
But same according to the riff, it's still connected too.
Yeah.
So I'll put it a different way. Notice what question. Okay, so why did I set it up this way? There's a reason why I set it up this way. Normally I make them 1, 2, 3, but I'm putting Tosos down here for a reason. Why?
Because the Rashi and the Ref are talking about the relationship of the leaves to the lulav. He's talking about the leaves themselves.
Okay, good. So conceptually, whatever Tosos is saying that I don't care about this. This is a separate issue. You understand? Tosos. That's why I was telling you to be sensitive to what Tosos is saying. Tosos is saying that I don't care about Rashi's. I mean, forget the riff. I don't care about Rashi's position. I have a different way of learning Nifritzu. You understand? Meaning that, of course, this is puzzle according to Tosos, right? And you probably would agree this is puzzle too. Okay, where are you going? You understand? So the way you set this up is that you have an overall machlokas. The way I would set it up. Okay, you have overall machlokas. You have machlokas Rashi versus. Again, let's make this careful. Rashi. How do I put this? In other words, you have a machlokas Rashi riff against the notion of it being completely attached. Okay, and then Tosos comes in and has his business about splitting the leaf. You understand what I'm saying? In other words, the first thing you have to define is, if you really want to, in a conceptual way, you want to get this the right way. What you have to argue is that Rashi and Riff, Rashi holds completely detached, Riff holds 99% detached, right? Versus saying that they have to be completely attached. Okay? What are they telling you about the lulav? Then with that, then you can move into Tosos, because Tosos is going on a different track. Tosos is saying the problem is one of splitting the leaves themselves. You understand?
Right.
Everybody here wants to start with Rashi. Okay. So, Kasha, yeah. Yeah. And there's the Havamina and the Mishnah. The Mishnah tells you Nifritzu alav pasal, and Rashi explains what does that mean when all the leaves are detached but yet tied together. Yeah. So therefore, there is a Havamina to say that what?
It's not.
It should still be fine, right?
Not a great Havamina,
but it's enough of a Havamina you could define, right? And I told you that the Ravid, as quoted by the Ran, is really a great point he's making if you think into what he's saying, because he says like this he says, the Ran quotes him on Lamed Ches on the base. He says, the Ravid says, what is he says the lulav is the shidra, okay?
Just like the vas of the twig.
Okay, so great. Okay, so the lulav is the shidra. The spine is the lulav, and the lulav is the spine.
Makes sense.
Okay, so what's Rashi telling you? How do you define Rashi?
Leaves have nothing to do with it, they're just the spine.
Say it again.
Leaves have nothing to do with the
Nothing to do with
lulav,
the
it's the spine.
Okay, keep going. 1 second. I want to get this on tape. Make sure everyone hears it. So Avi wants to say that the Aguda certainly functions. What's Aguda doing?
Looking for a job.
It's holding together the leaves, right? If I have leaves that are missing from the lulav and I connect them to the lulav, what's the Aguda doing? Connecting them to the lulav itself, right? So what's the havmina? So why would that still be kosher according to the havmina? What does that tell you about the shidra then?
The shidra is really fine on its own.
What's it telling you about the shidra? Better. Well, stop saying that. We know that already. What's it telling you? If you're telling me that if I can disconnect all the... Okay, let's make sure we understand the structure of a lulav, okay? How's a lulav structured? You have a spine, right? And the leaves are attached to the spine.
Right, the leaves being connected have nothing to do with the lulav. It just happens. It's coincidental.
No, but then why would you need a Gouda then? Everyone is going to agree if I don't have them on Gouda.
It's gotta look like that.
Everyone agrees if I disconnect all the leaves and only have a stick in the middle, or whatever that thing is, that's not a lulav, right? So what's it telling you? If you're telling me that the Aguda would be
Why can't
good...
you say it is lulav?
What?
Why can't you say it is lulav?
Because no one will say that. That's ridiculous.
I was saying problem in Hither.
What?
I said problem in Hither.
It's more than that. No, it's not even a lulav anymore.
Why not?
Because at a certain point, it can't be a lulav.
There's
There's a certain point where Hiddur and Chetza...
Then what did the rabbit
Oh, it's a
say?
lulav.
Oh, so what is he... Oh, that's the question. What is
That's what I
it?
said. The leaves have only a Hither.
No, 1 second. If the shidra is the lulav, let's assume I agree with you that the essence of a lulav is the shidra. Okay. So what is a shidra? So in this situation, right, where I've removed the leaves from the shidra, okay, and now I'm tying them, and according to Havina, that would be good. So what's that telling you about the shidra? What does it do?
Oh, it makes the leaves part of the lulav.
Thank you. So it's a connector. Okay. So if the stop saying halachic. Okay. If the shidra, fine, yeah, it's a given. It's halachic. But if you're telling me, think about logically. If you're telling me that it will be kosher if I tie the leaves to the center of the lulav, right? So what's that doing? It's keeping the connection intact. In other words, I'm making sure the leaves are bound to the shidra.
That's a Hither thing.
Which fine, I don't 100%. But I'm saying, but what's the function of the shidra then according to the Havamina?
To make the leaves part of the lulav.
Exactly right. So if it's the connector, so if you can, as long as you accomplish leaves connected to shidra, you're fine. Okay, so the chiddush in the Havamina would be that it doesn't have to actually be grown that way, right? Even if it's tied. But the point though is that again, that's why it's a proof that's an issue of Hiddur. The way you look at it, if I was able to reconstruct this with the Aguda, you would know. You would know. If I brought you a lulav and it was all good everywhere, you would not know that it was disconnected. So the point is that if the function of the shidra is to connect the leaves to it, right? As long as I can accomplish that end through another means, I still have a good lulav.
You would say the chiddush of the Hither.
When we deal with Hiddur, okay, Hiddur doesn't just mean beautiful. Hiddur means that it has to appear like it is. You understand? There's a certain point. Maybe we should make that a little clearer. In other words, when we think of Hiddur, Hiddur doesn't just mean beauty. Okay, Hiddur means that it looks like the object. Okay, meaning in its natural form. So at a certain point in time, I can make a lulav no longer look like a lulav. You understand? There's a certain point where that emerges. So that's what this is dealing with. This is dealing with at what point in the appearance of the lulav, right, does it no longer appear like a lulav?
Well, this appears like a lulav.
According to Maskana?
Havamina appears like a lulav.
It does. That's why it'd be kosher.
But no, Havamina.
The Havamina wasn't hold its kosher.
Oh, I'm saying, so what's Maskana?
Oh, so what's Maskana? What's the Maskana?
You mean that you need to...
See, in order for this is the trick. This stuff happens to be very, very difficult and very abstract. I didn't realize when I started preparing this is how I did this like years ago, but I didn't realize how abstract it is. Okay, right now we box ourselves into a very good corner, right? Because it seems to make a lot of sense to say that as long as I can produce the result of it looking like it's tied together, so what's the difference? So that's what the shidra is doing.
Well, first of all, that would be a problem.
At this point, the Havamina makes a lot of sense. The Havamina is saying that as long as I can produce the result of what the shidra does, which is as a connector of leaves to it, right? So then what's the problem of using an aguda? So what's the Maskana going to tell you? What does the Ravid really mean? This is the trick.
You mean Rashi or right?
Well, what does the Ravid... When the Ravid says... I think Rashi agrees with this point. When the Ravid says that the shidra is the essence of the lulav, what does he actually mean?
Because Rashi would hold the Rif's case kosher.
Yes, for sure. But don't get to the Rif yet. What would we say? Why do we say that Aguda doesn't work? What is that? What must that tell you about the Shidra?
It's a bad way of connecting here.
Why?
Because it's not an actual connection, physically.
Okay.
Together by a third party.
Okay.
It's relative.
Relative to what?
The leaves.
Time space? What?
It's only a shidra if it's a shidra of the leaves.
It's only a Shidra if it's a Shidra of the leaves.
Just so that it be connected.
Oh, I know what you're trying to do. You're trying to say, well, there's a difference between something being physically connected versus something where you're like naturally physically connected versus an artificial connection. That's what you want to push down that road, right?
Right.
Right, but you got to go further than that.
Okay.
That's like Svara 101. You know what I mean? That's like a basic Svara. Fine. So then it's the Maskana is telling you that there's something different about the way it's connected when it grows that way versus where it's artificially connected. In other words, if it's connected by its natural way versus I'm artificially connecting it, right?
Actually, I know it is.
Okay, so then forget it. So what's a Maskana? What's a Maskana?
No, I think that.
Maybe so that's not bad. In other words, maybe, right, that's what you were saying?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so I apologize, I didn't understand it. There's maybe say like this. In other words, the other way you can say it is that when we look at the Shidra, when we say the Shidra is the essence of the Lulav, what do we really mean? We mean that the Shidra, everything is about the Shidra. So what are the leaves in relation to the Shidra? Is that what you meant by relative?
Yeah.
Oh, so what are the leaves in relation to the Shidra?
Hinder.
What are they in relation to the Shidra?
Hitter aspects.
Right, but you're right. But before we get to the point of Hiddur, you're right, they are. But they're growths off of the Shidra.
Right.
Right? In other words, the Shidras, when you look at a Lulav, this is the key, okay? It's a din and Hiddur, but you have to understand what you're looking at. You understand? In other words, you can't, I know I was making fun of you before, but you can't ignore the chefsa, meaning that you have to know what you're actually looking at, okay? So we have to define what it appears to be to me. So what you would initially think is that what's a lulav? So lulav is a lot of leaves, right, with this center thing that holds the leaves together, right? That's not what you're looking at when you look at a lulav. When you're actually seeing a lulav is you're seeing a shidra with what?
It's also.
With all these growths coming off of it. So if you remove most of those growths coming off of it, what's the chiddush according to Rashi?
It's no longer a shidra.
It's no longer a shidra, and therefore you no longer have a lulav. You understand?
Right. So shidra
No.
is.
Lav Hiddur, he's saying that since the shidra is no longer functioning as a shidra anymore, in other words, once that spot, even though you can't see it, okay, you can't see it, it's not noticeable, but the point is this entity is not expressing itself to you as one of a Hiddur Lulav. Do you understand? In other words, at a certain point in time, if the shidra is not defined by simply as a connector, but rather it's defined by it's the essence of lulav is a shidra and everything's growing out. If you need the aguda to keep everything together, what are you now saying?
Your shidra is not a real shidra.
It's not a shidra anymore, right? So what are you looking at?
Problem.
What I'm trying to say is hiddur must stem from an actual reality of the chefsa, right? It's not. You can't say hiddur is completely divorced from the chefsa. It has to express from a valid chefsa. So Rashi's telling you in this situation, once you lose the status of the shidra, you can't tell me anymore that hiddur could express itself from that entity. In other words, this lulav according to Rashi cannot be a producer of hiddur. Okay, that's the best way to put it. Okay.
The question still remains, all right.
In other words, you can't tell me I've destroyed. In other words, insofar as the chepsa of shidra is concerned, okay, you can't tell me I've destroyed that entity. But so far as, like we're saying before, no, because that's why you have to deal with what Rashi says. He says lav hiddur. So you must be saying that in the realm of hiddur, the growths off the shidra is what defines the shidra, is part of the very definition of the shidra itself. Qua hiddur, not qua chepsa. Because if it was from the chepsa, then you shouldn't have said lav hiddur.
I mean, that would also answer the hood.
The chefsa does not need that shidra.
You could still have the chefsa of a shidra, but it'd be puzzling so far as hiddur is concerned.
No, I'm saying for a chefsa, you do not need to have a shidra.
Correct.
Okay.
Possibly, yeah. At this point.
Right.
Okay. But hold on, yeah.
But that would also look at
The Rif says that as long as they're attached at the bottom, right? That's what. Excuse me. Nifritzu olav means what? It means that they're attached at the bottom. That's puzzle. Okay. Don't ask me at what point in the shidra is it considered nifritzu. I don't care. But the point is that let's make an extreme case, right? Right. So his happening would be that what?
I'm saying that picture is out of me.
No, not necessarily. Yeah, that picture. No, that picture is no. That's the case.
Yeah.
The Havin is that's good. The Maskana is that's bad.
Right. Well,
but that's Rashi's Maskana, so that's good.
Well, fine, right? Rashi would probably agree that it has to be somewhat attached. But I don't think the Rif is that far away from Rashi. So what's the Rif holding? Tamir,
What?
why would you say the case according to the Rif? Why is that a problem if it's tied to the end only? This is much more of a Hiddur idea, by the way. It gets you out of Rashi's problem. What would you say? In other words, very nice.
Trader.
In other words,
We had a spar up.
in other words, like this. In other words, well, the Rif is saying that.
That looks like it's connected. That's what looks like it's properly connected.
Right, fine. But I'm saying the point is this. But so therefore, what's the function of the Shidra then? The Shidra, and this is the beauty of it. Oh, let me just say what he said, and then I'll add my final point. Is that a scorecard? Okay. So the Rif's Havmina was, like Avi's saying, the Rif's Havmina is Rashi's point of Maskana, meaning that as long as it's physically connected, you can't tell me it's not a Shidra. But what's his Chiddush? His Chiddush is saying that you have the form of a Lulav. In other words, even though it's physically connected, right? What happens, like, that's why I drew it this way. When you pick it up, what's going to happen to the leaves? Right? They droop down, right? So therefore, what does that tell you according to the Rif, the function of a Shidra?
It has to be completely attached.
No, what's the function of the Shidra then?
Make the lulav look like a lulav.
Bingo! The Shidra, which is, now why I happen to like the Rif of all the Shitas, I like them the most. I'll tell you why in a second. But what is the function of the Shidra? It gives it its form, right? Why do I like that position the most?
It's intuitive.
Why?
Practical.
Why? What's the Shidra mean? A Shidra is a what?
Well,
A spine. Because what do spines do?
Hold things up.
Well, how do we differentiate it from, what was a big, I'm not getting into whether evolution is correct or not, but in the theory of evolution, okay, a big moment was when what happened?
When we got spines.
Well,
When we got spines.
no, we always had a spine, but in other words, the thing is when you're able to walk upright, right? When you're able to walk upright, so when you mean your spine gives you your form. The way this is gives you a certain form. Like, there's a person versus a dog, because the dog's bent over. The way our spine is, we're upright. So spine...
Huge moment.
Well,
Really huge.
so, although I'm not saying I agree with that theory, but I'm just saying there is an idea that a spine gives a thing its form, right? So the Shidra is critical insofar as the appearance of the Lulav is concerned. So how could the Shidra can't be functioning like a Shidra if the leaves are all droopy? How is it still a Shidra? Right? It's not functioning like a Shidra. So that's what the Rif holds.
The Hiddur has to be functional.
Correct. And that's in this way of learning it. Okay? Tosos has a completely different way of learning. Tosos would say both these are problematic, obviously. He doesn't disagree with that. He agrees both these are problematic. Right? He just has a different idea of what Nifritzu Olav is. These for sure are problematic.
Wait, so according to the Rif, let's see.
I'm with Tosos' overall issue. Tosos clearly has he's introducing an extra concept here. Okay? I mean, that's why normally we would try to tighten it up and keep Tosos in the same point of contention. But Tosos agrees, Tosos is not arguing with Rif and Rashi on their grounds. He's introducing a different idea in Nifritzu. Because he agrees with them that it's a problem. He's just saying that the source for why it's a problem is a different source. He agrees that, of the issue of the Shidra. He's saying something else now. There's another reality. It's a good question, by the way, what Rashi and the Rif would hold by Tosos. I'm not sure. But the real issue that we have to take up is, according to Tosfos, all right? According to Tosfos, what is the problem here? What's the problem? Get the first step. So the first step you want to say is that you see that it's not just in the Shidra itself, right? But even in the leaves, which Tosfos' moder are somewhat accidental to the Shidra, you can also have a distortion in Hidra there as well, okay? By splitting them. But why is that a problem? In other words, you got to be careful, unless you want to say you're actually changing the chefsa. But why is that a problem?
No, you're not changing the chefsa.
Or, I mean, you could say you are, but whatever.
It requires the little leaves to look like lilies.
They look like lulav leaves. Okay, fine. So, I'll just take it that last step. In other words, Tosfos is saying this. Tosfos is saying that you see, there's another idea. Part of idea Hiddur, what would the Havmina say? The Havmina say is that, well, I still have lulav leaves, I still have leaves, right? Right. So what was I oker, or so to speak? What did I destroy? Because what did Tosfos tell you? In reality, how many leaves do I have?
Same many.
All of them.
No, I'm saying right. I still the same amount. Quantitatively, I still the same amount of leaves. But what Tosfos is very shrewd. He's telling you that what have I done wrong? In other words, they're really two leaves, but how do they grow?
As one.
So what I've done is I've destroyed the derech gedila of the lulav. That's the hitter issue. In other words, the lulav. When you say they should look like lulav leaves, what you're really trying to say is that they should look like exactly the way they grow. They grow in this way. So when you split the leaves in two, what you've done is now you've destroyed. You still have the same amount of leaves, but you destroy the derech gedila. There's a certain appearance of the lulav in its natural state that it must retain for hitter to emerge.